You're listening to the Everything Went Black podcast.
Hey everybody, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. To bring in the new year, Ralph Schmidt, one of my best friends, comes back onto the podcast. It's been a while since Ralph and I have done one of these, so it was great to catch up with Ralph. You will all know him for the band Ultha, who continue to release incredible music. And as well as being an Ultha, Ralph has been on this podcast a bunch of times. And over on Patreon, we do the Long Shadows mini-series over there, which we're going to be picking up again this year. If you like Everything Went Black, I urge you all to check out the other podcasts brought to you by the Horsemen of the Podcasting Apocalypse. Kicking things off every other Monday, we have Brandon Legion's Horror Wolf 666. Up next on Tuesday, Jackie Schmdit brings us into the Necrosphere, and he should be returning soon, so stay tuned. Wednesday is a double shot. We've got Everything Went Black as well as Iblis Manifestations. Thursday is another double shot. Necro Thursday, that is, where the Necromaniacs Horror Podcast drops, as well as Day 1 of Soul Knocks, brought to you by Carl Hikara. Friday, Spitball Media comes at you. Saturday is a day off, so it's the new year. Get after it. You got a day off on Saturday from us. But Sunday, Carl Hikara returns with Day 2 of Soul Knocks. Carl and I continue the Darkness Weaves collaboration. We've got a couple more of these Kane stories to do, and then it's on to some other stuff, which we'll be talking about. I'd like to thank everyone who picked up the Scorpion Throne EP. I really appreciate it. I just put these things out. You know, I hope people like them. They're primarily for myself, so it's always nice when people enjoy the material that I'm doing. It's, you know, it's a labor of love. It's creative expression for me. But yeah, thank you all for everyone out there who picked up a copy of the EP. There'll be more coming at you this year. If you enjoy the show, I appreciate that as well. Definitely follow us on social media, like the show, tell your friends, that sort of stuff. But if you want to put your money where your mouth is, you can join the Everything Went Black Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You get bonus content. You get bonus for $5 a month. You get bonus content plus early access to the shows. And for $25 a month, you can become a sponsor. Happy New Year to all. I hope everyone had a safe holiday and is ready to get back to the grind. This is the kickoff episode of 2026 here at Everything Went Black. And I welcome one of my best friends, Ralph Schmidt, to the fold. Happy New Year, Ralph.
Happy New Year, Mike. It's good to be back. I mean, I've been in the trenches for a longer time and kind of disappeared from social media and podcasts and everything. And yeah, it's a good way to come back now and happy to talk to you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, and I knew you were going through some stuff during that period. And, you know, I would check in on you periodically, but I also wanted to respect your wishes to kind of go to the mountain and, you know, do some introspection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I totally I totally love that because I know, I mean, that's yeah, the basis of our friendship has always been like, hey, if something's coming up, I'll be there. You can call me in the middle of the night. And I mean, there's always the problem that like, I mean, for like, I think you'll see it the same way. It's like, I wish we could just like meet up, you know, have a drink and like, I mean, a coffee or something and just like talk about things, but like you're 8,000 kilometers away. So it's a bit difficult. But I know I can count on you. And it's just like, yeah, like I told you, like in these mails or like when I shoot you like a voice message, it's like, yeah, I had to step away from pretty much everything. And yeah, ever since like the Ultha grind of 2025 came to an end with the Russian Circles tour, and we said like, yeah, we will not do anything for the next well, for the rest of the year. And yeah, some stuff has had piled up in my life, and I was like, yeah, I feel like I'm suffocating, and it's not going anywhere, and I need to do something, or I will start deteriorating again. And I've been to that point in 2018, and I swore to myself I'll never go to that point again. And when Audrey passed 3 years ago, I was like, yeah, I always take her as a role model. And I said, like, when people ask me, what do you do? I'm like, it's like I'm fighting like a little white cat. And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, Audrey was diagnosed with cancer, and it's like, yeah, she has like 3 weeks to live. And yeah, then and in the end, she ended up giving me 3 months of her life. And every day she got up and she showed up, and she's like, no, I want to live. And I was kind of like, yeah, I'll try to do the same now. And I started working on myself and got better, got like worse, got better again. And yeah, it was just point to like, okay, I'll shut down completely, start a new therapy, work on myself. And yeah, here we are, beginning of 2026, and I'm in a way better place than I've been last summer.
Burnout is like a word that gets thrown around a lot, but it's like a very real thing to
Oh yeah.
experience that, especially if you're doing, you have a lot of different, very intentional things going on in your life, like your career and the band and, all these things. It's easy to deplete yourself emotionally and intellectually with those pursuits. And, taking a break and, as well as all the other sort of everyone carries like some level of trauma with them through life. You know what I mean? And everyone has things that are influencing them that are simmering below the surface that are not really that are not necessarily in the forefront of your mind unless you have someone like sort of help you uncover that stuff.
Yeah.
And taking a break, detaching, it's important, and I this is not my own term. I saw this somewhere, but someone's like, take a break before you break.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Fair.
know,
Fair enough. Yeah.
and
And
Marcus Aurelius, one of my favorite philosophers, also suggests people go inward often, a lot of times, to spend a lot of times inward, solitude, that sort of thing.
yeah. And that's a thing. Like I saw a picture of Mark Twain with his dog with a quote, "The more I get to know people, the more I love my dog." You know? And
Yeah.
that was like kind of like the point where I was, where it's like, hey, what's actually feeling good? And it was like the time that I had with Titus when I was with him in nature. And I mean, there's these few people, like whenever we talk, it's never wasted time. It's always like good. And whenever I see Danny, it's like it's good times. I love like hanging out with my band, and we had like two great tours last year. But aside from that, and it's like I'm blessed with a lot of people, like having a lot of people in my life that like me, where I borderline sometimes wonder how could you? And they want to hang out with me, and that's like charming. And I did it sometimes, and I was like, I came out of these evenings, like someone that I know and I'm friendly with is like, hey, you want to catch up? Want to grab a pizza? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Then after like a 8 lesson work day in school, I get home briefly, take a nap, go there, socialize. And then I came back home around 10-ish, where I should go to bed because I have to get up really early for school sometimes. And I was like, I was so drenched and burned out. I'm like, no, I need to decompress now. I need to decompress from my decompression. Because, like the social contact with this person that I actually like, and I like eating a pizza, which I always love, wasn't helping me to really calm down because it was asking me to interact and to respond. And I just like came to the point where I'm like, every evening when I had these things, I like switched on some random TV show that I was barely interested in. And I mean, there was pretty much like two shows last year that I watched, or three where I was really invested. but like I watched a lot of shit where I was like, yeah, whatever. And then but I opened like a bag of chips, drank like a gallon of like Cola Zero and shit. And then I went to bed, had horrible dreams because my belly was full,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's this whole circle of shit that happened. And like in June, like the tour ended with Russian Circles, and in July, like when it came to the summer holidays, I'm like, oh, cool. I finally have a break. And in summer holiday, like in the first week, I had two panic attacks. I'm like, how the fuck is this happening now? Like I have no school, nothing's going on, but now I have the panic attacks. And then it's like a doctor said, like, yeah, man, you're like the defenses are down now
Hmm.
because you're a high functioning depressed person. So
Yeah.
like you always are up to the task. You manage this band. You're always Ulfa is always 100% on top of its game. Like the responses are within an hour sometimes. In school, you have your shit together. You're a good friend to people. You organize shit. You help people, but you never think about yourself. And I'm like, yeah. And that's like kind of like why I started a therapy, and it's a trauma therapy because like from way early on, I got implanted that I'm not the one that my father wanted or that
Oh
like
yeah.
that people wanted.
Hmm.
And that made me like a people pleaser. So I went out of my way of helping bands and helping people to get like stuff done. And like I never asked something in return because I felt ashamed to ask something of people. And it deteriorated my self-worth to like a minimum where I was like, yeah, who cares about me? But if I can help someone else, fine. And that was like in summer, I was at the point where like, no, dude, I need to fight like a 10-year-old cat, and I need to get better, and I want to be healthy. I don't want to feel like this anymore. And yeah, that was the starting point.
You touched on something really important too when you mentioned the fact that you were always accomplishing all these tasks.
Mm,
And I think that accomplishing tasks and doing things, and you get that little endorphin from, oh, okay, cool. I organized this. Finished this recording. Like completed a tour or whatever. That kind of stuff gives you these like endorphins.
yeah,
But it's almost like you people substitute that for true happiness in some ways. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
like this accomplishing tasks has like become a substitute for actually being happy because you substitute that sort of endorphin, oxytocin, spike with
yeah,
actually having like a meaningful life sometimes, or
yeah,
being happy or feeling at peace.
yeah. I found it like on that tour with Russian Circles where we played some of the biggest shows we've ever played in countries we've never played.
Hell yeah.
I'm like, this is awesome. Like I knew it is awesome, but I didn't feel like it's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I noticed. Like I was on stage, and I mean with Ultha, it's always like the red light from the back, so they can't see my face, but I can see the audience's face. And I'm like, I was standing there playing these songs and doing my thing on stage, while in my head I was like, oh yeah, when you get back home, you should really clean the windows.
Hmm.
And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like you're playing a show. This is supposed to be catharsis, and like, why are you in your head right now? And I was like, okay, this is not good. And I remember like there was a maybe I've mentioned this on the podcast before, like in my bathroom, I always have like an old radio that only gets like two stations in, and it's just like so there's like some white noise in the background. And so I took a shower, and they made like I had like a trailer for like a TV movie on like the first German television station, which was like mostly generic stuff. And I don't know what it was about, but it was like there was a guy in a Bavarian accent, like the worst accent for me in Germany. But he said like translated as like she's like, "Hey, aren't you happy?" And that guy answered like, "I forgot what it feels like to be happy." And I was like in the shower listening to this, and I started crying. I'm
Yeah,
like,
man.
because I was like, I have no idea what it feels like to be happy. Like, and then I sat like on my bathtub, like still like drenching wet. I'm like, I try to remember the last time when I was really happy. And like I had these moments of joy where like, like especially with the dog or like having like when I was out with Danny, or I remembered like when you were here in Cologne, even though that feels like a million years ago.
That was fun, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is like these joyous moments where I was like, yeah, I'm feeling really good about this. But I'm like, in general, like, like waking up and not feeling like shit and being like, oh, I hate everything. Everything that is ahead of me today will be like a fucking nightmare. I'm like, oh my God. And then I was like, no, dude, something needs to change. And yeah, and so I was like, okay, so what can I do? So I thankfully there is something called DocLib now, which is an app, and
Yeah.
you can find like doctors for various sources, and they see like, hey, here's an appointment. Because for a while it was borderline impossible to get like a slot with a therapist. And so I was like, okay, what are you looking for? A psychiatrist. I'm like, okay, because psychiatrists are able to give you antidepressants, and maybe it's the time that first time in my life I try that. And I found one, and she's like, oh, she's located in a good spot where I can easily go. And that was like my premise, like, oh, she has an open slot and she's not too far away. Let's try. And dude, by chance, she's the coolest, and she's like really straightforward. And like I did 2 years of therapy in 2021 and 2022, and they were more like, so let's make a dream journey. I'm like, yeah, fuck your dream journey. Like
Yeah.
I want you to tell me what the fuck my problem is. And this woman, like after 3 sessions, she's like, oh, okay, I think I know what you have. I'm like, really? I was always talking about like being I don't even know the name. Anhedonic. Yeah. So,
Okay.
so the complete lack of emotion, because I had the feeling I don't feel anything at all anymore. And hedonia is the opposite of hedonism. So like
Hmm.
instead of like feeling everything and really, it was like you don't feel anything. But she's like, no, that's not true. When I ask you about Audrey, you have tears in your eyes. When you talk about Titus or about your band, you get excited. So you don't have anhedonia because then that also wouldn't work. But she's like, okay, let me ask you 10 questions. You just say, yes, I have it. No, I don't have it. And she asked me, it's like the first one, yes. Second one, yes. Third one, yes. Fourth one, nope. But it's like, yeah, it says like if you have three of these 10 and you just answered eight with them with yes, you have a thing called dysthymia. And we're like, okay. And it's like a long lasting melancholic outburst that's like kind of your average emotional pattern is just like drenched by like 4 decibels pretty much. And so there it's hard for you to like have joy, but you're also not afraid of things. There's no enthusiasm. And she's like, it's caused by burnout, by trauma and everything. And everything fell into place. Like, yep, that's what I have. And it's like in 3 weeks, she told me what I have, where the other two women were like a year. It's like, hey, let's make a dream journey.
Yeah, they're like dicking around with these like,
Yeah.
ideas,
And
definitely.
yeah, and she's more like you and I, like really straightforward to the
Yeah.
point. And she like in the fourth session, we were like, it was like in summer holidays, like, hey, so what are your plans? Yeah, well, after this thing, I will go home. I need to do make this call, and then I need to organize that, and then I need to do this. And she's like, oh, sounds stressful, but what would you really like to do? I was like, I mean, the sun is shining. I have nothing to do. Actually, I would just love to sit next to a lake, watch the water and the ducks and listen to some music. And she's like, yeah, and that's what you're going to do now. And usually I tell people with this depression and the things that you have, I tell them, go out into the world, enjoy life, meet people. And she's like, no, you're pulling the brake now in a hard way. You will tell all the people that ask you, like, hey, do you want to hang out? Do you want to do this? She's like, respectfully, I'm very grateful you asked. Thank you for your interest. But right now, I'm not able to do that. I need to shut away from everything. And she pretty much gave me the okay to be like, no, I don't want to see you anymore. And all the people I talked to were respectful. They're like, okay, I get it. Let me know if I can do something. If you feel better, let's hang out. But like right now, just I want you to be better. And then I started like no more social media. no more podcasts, no more meetings with other people. And then it was like I went to work after the holidays, but in the holidays themselves as well, I was like I spent 80% of my time outside. I went to the gym more. I every evening I just like put on my running shoes and I didn't go for a run, but I did like walking. And I just started walking without any like destiny. I was just walking, listening to some good music, and then it was an hour, sometimes it was an hour and 30 minutes. And I came back home, read something. I told you before we started recording, I'm so heavy into comic books again. Sat on my balcony for hours with like a headlamp on and just read like old comic books. And after a while, I was like, I think it's the first time I feel quiet. And I started like, hey, this actually feels good. And then I started thinking about things like that mattered something to me. And yeah, and all of a sudden, like things made sense again, and I had a feeling of self-worth, a bit more respect, and I mean, I'm far away from being healed or anything, but I'm
Yeah, I
like,
mean, it's a
I'm,
process, you know. It's not like
yeah,
you go and you get your like your your knee cartilage scoped or something like that. It's like it's a long term. You have to be intentional with it, and it's a process, and it's sort of never ending, really, because if you sort of get lax with it, you fall back into the same patterns.
right. And that's, I mean, it has been like the last weeks have been stressful, like a lot of stuff changed, but then, yeah, school like went into full overdrive mode again, and um. It's always like work is pretty much the stuff that really gets me the most. And it's especially the stuff where I have to get up really early.
Right.
But I like I'm coping better with it because I have a better fundament. And right now it's just like, hey, don't lose sight of what you gained and what you have. And I mean, I told you I have a girlfriend now, and that's something I hadn't seen coming in forever. And it's something I really embrace, and like it wouldn't have been possible half a year ago. And it's just so cool to see, like people like Carl or Brendan, and they just reach out like, "Hey man, just wanted to let you know, thinking of you, hope you're doing well." And you checked in, and like a lot of these people, and no one was like, "Hey, you want to hang out? I really feel neglected because you don't answer to me anymore." Everybody was so respectful and cool. And yeah, and I think I have a better sense of balance now, what I want, what is good for me, and that it's okay to say no. And I was the guy that never said no. Yeah.
Well, you have to curate your circle, man. That's like one of the things I learned over the last few decades of my life. Because going all the way back, there's the people that you allow access to you. You have to be very, very intentional about those types of people because they can affect you,
Yeah.
and I try to keep my circle small these days, and it seems like you're doing the same.
Yeah.
And that I learned that the hard way, man. Like, there are people that I either, allowed to play music with me or were part of like some group that I depended on, and then you just allow this vermin into your life sometimes, but like, and it doesn't even have to be that extreme. Just you have to have the right people around you, I think, and the
Yeah.
bad people should stay outside.
Yeah, and also like I mean that's the key element to really like, okay, what is actual friendship, or what is, I mean, if I say beneficial people, I don't see them as like subjects that I can use, but
Yeah,
like people that like they make your life better. Yeah, and that's
yeah,
that's the thing, like what like you and I did, like, okay, we need to kick this person out and keep this person out because they're not doing anything for us in the long run, where it's like, hey, you make my life better. And that's what she said, like if you have the feeling that a lot of people that you meet are nice and all, but they don't really make your life better. So why do you spend your precious time with them? Because besides work, and like, I mean, Ultha is like a full-time job next to my full-time job.
right.
It's like, you need to choose more carefully what you do and who you do it with. And it's like, okay. And then it's also like, yeah, I don't need to people please all the time. And one key aspect that has also changed is Danny gave me like a fortune cookie a while ago, and I don't know where that came from, but like it said, stop worrying about things you cannot control.
Yeah.
And I mean, we talk about this a lot, and like the state of the world is
Oh man.
pretty fucked and scary right now. And I mean, there's a million examples that I could bring up now, but it's just like in general, yeah, like the discussion in social media, if this band is true black metal or not black metal, I couldn't care less at this point, you
Yeah.
know? It's like, hey, if you have time and energy to discuss this, if you like need to rant about this and like fight other people in a comment section about if this band is true or not, or if this politician is that or this, or like wrestling fans, like the comment section and wrestling posting is like, I don't need, it's like Twitter times 10, like the cesspool of hell. And I'm like, for a while I was reading this like, oh man, this is dumb. It's like, and I'm like, why do I bother? Like I need to, like, wrestling is something good for me. Like, you know, like I'm an AEW guy, and like I could, like, people are like, no, AEW is trash. WWE is the only thing. I'm like, no, you're trash because I'm like, you know, if someone watches WWE and it gives him a kick and makes his life better, go for it. Have fun. If someone listens to Burzum and it makes his life better, go ahead and do it. I'm not like interacting with that anymore. I know what like is good for me. I love watching wrestling. I'm happy that there's a lot of competition and it makes the business better. I love that there's a lot of music you can like choose from. If your kink is like fascist Nazi music, well, if it gives you a boner, good for you. I don't need to interact with you then, but I don't need to fight you online. It's like, oh yeah, you're the bad guy, I'm the good guy. And that's what the world has come through. It's like, it's my opinion and my enemies. If you're on my team, cool, because I have 10 sources on the internet that like validate my truth, and yours is wrong, and it's so dumb, and I don't interact with that anymore. And that's also something that made my life a whole lot better.
Well, you hit on the social media thing, man, and that's like been a bane to the societies of the world, really.
Yeah.
There's someone I don't really know about this, but I found out about this. There's like some drug that people take that makes them lose weight.
Hmm.
It's like Ozempic or
Yeah.
something, and
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
there's other variations of that. Okay.
Hmm.
I don't know what the hell it is. I found out about it. I'm like, okay, great. But someone in my life was like, I see all this like pressure to take Ozempic. And I'm like, well, where? I don't even know what you're talking about, you know? And
Yeah.
it's like, what the hell is Ozempic? Is it like where there's like a dick pill or something like that? You know what I mean? It's like a blue chews or something, you know? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh no, I see it on Facebook, this like I'm being bombarded by all this stuff. And I'm like, then don't fucking look at Facebook, man. It's like for my own personal mental health and well-being, I try to really modulate the amount of time I spend online with that stuff. Like I got to promote stuff for the band, the podcast, like that sort of stuff. But I try not to scroll. And I took it
Hmm.
one step further with podcasts too. Because I mean, I listen to podcasts, we make podcasts, but
Hmm.
I sort of fell into this like self-perpetuating negativity trip, cycle, and so in the morning, I put my phone in another room at night, it's not even
Hmm.
near me in my bed. In the morning, I have this whole routine I do in the morning with stretching and do some cardio and do body weight squats, things like that. And I used to have like the like a podcast playing, right? Now I don't put anything on. I just wake up, I pound some water, I get the coffee going, I do my routine. The routine's about 45 minutes, right? No inputs, just my own mind,
Hmm.
like sorting itself out, coming up with ideas, thinking about things, like reaching like a very, very cool like equilibrium state before I actually engage with whatever I have to do that day. And I found that to be one of the most therapeutic things I could have ever done.
Yeah.
Just like that stillness, like that
Yeah.
silence of the morning is like your brain really needs that, I feel like.
Yeah. And I take this, I mean, for me, it's like getting up super early. I don't have time for that routine.
Hmm.
But like for me, it was like I always like I don't I'm not getting hungry before like noon. So like for a while I was like, yeah, I'm not eating anything. And then it's like, oh, work continues. And then I started eating around 2. And then I ate all night long and especially super late. And that's like the worst thing
Yeah.
you could do. I'm still like, I don't want to eat early. But like right now in the morning, I pressed 2 oranges and a lemon, and I drank like before I go out of the house, like a fresh OJ with like a lot of vitamins and everything,
Yeah.
and that makes me like, okay, I'm awake now.
No, totally.
And then I go to the car. I have like, like a lot of music that I downloaded that is like very quiet and for I think for the better part of the last year, aside from like the music that it became like the albums of the year, I was just listening to like a pop like a Chopin playlist because I saw this movie A Real Pain. I don't know if
I don't know that.
you
No.
it's with Rory Culkin
Oh, okay.
and Michael
Euronymous from Mayhem.
yeah yeah
Yeah.
and Michael Cera, and it's I think he won an Oscar for it as like as a not as a main actor, or was it an
Supporting
Emmy?
actor.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's that movie came out like I was a lot of buzz about it, and then but I didn't go to the cinema to watch it, but then it ended up on Netflix, and like and one evening I was like, oh yeah, I mean there's this show that I just watched, and I want to watch like an old horror movie, but it's like then that movie came up, I'm like, yeah, let's watch something smart for once, and
Yeah.
it's like on the shorter side. I think it's just like 95 minutes long or
Oh, wow.
something.
Okay. These days that
And
is short. Yeah.
yeah. And so it's about like him and like Michael Cera and Rory Culkin, they're cousins. And they had a grandmother in Poland and she passed. And so the two of them decide to take a road trip to Poland and do like a touristy kind of like field trip where they meet up with other tourists and they have a guide and then they will go to special places in Poland and then you get to know about like the two of them and there's like a lot of trauma involved and the whole movie has just like Chopin solo piano music to it. And this movie was so beautifully shot. It was so emotionally and I was like I was watching it and I was like in awe like how simplistic and beautiful this movie is with the music. And then like Chopin became like the thing that I listened to the most last year. And it was just like, going into the car, you're like barely awake, but you have like the OJ, so there's some vitamins in you and some sugar, so you get going. And then you just like drive to school and you have like just these piano tunes. And arrive in school, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do this. Where like at some other parts I was like going to school, listening to the new Bluetooth Nord, eating like a donut and drinking a cola like at 6:30 in the morning, you know? I'm like, yeah, that's not a good plan. So it's
Yeah.
like
I feel like the
a lot.
morning is like the most important part of the day, man, really.
Yeah, I mean, it defines on like the way you start and like how the day will end. And so like I thought like I have the feeling like in the last half year I made better decisions, even like in the smaller aspects, you know? And I mean social media for me, like I was thinking about like, yeah, I would love to delete it. But then again, it's like I will return to it anyhow.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, just not maybe, like put all the people to sleep on there that you don't need to see all the time.
Yep.
But like what it really needs, like I need Facebook because it shows you like show announcements and you can put it
Yeah.
into your calendar. So that's the reason I still have Facebook. I'm in like certain groups about like there's a coil group and there's like some comic book groups and secondhand record things where I sold like a lot of vinyl. So that's why I have Facebook. I'm on Instagram because all the announcement of the bands or labels, like here's a new album, there's a new single. I'm like, yeah, I'm keeping track of that. And so that's why I'm there. But I don't like, like I don't like every post that I see from people that I know. And yeah, I do it for like the author page and just like reducing my time there rather spending it with a book in my hand. And like instead of doom scrolling when I'm in my bed right now, like the comic books have been the thing. Like I'm mostly too tired when I go to bed to actually read a book. I mean, I read some short stories or like easier stuff, but comic books have been the perfect thing because, they're
Yeah.
colorful, like they're easier to read, but they're still engaging. And so I plowed through so much stuff when I spent a whole lot of money on comic books. Um, but I'm like really happy doing this. And yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I think you need to take time to focus on what is really good for you. What do you really want to have in your life? And what is good for you on a longer scale? And I think I've kind of found the balance right now.
Yeah, that's important, man. That's really like, I do, I relate, man. It's like, di di same but different, as they say in Thailand. But
Mhm.
you know, the, I was in a band, or I'm in a band rather, that is, we had a lot of stuff going on, but you got to put yourself and find out what works for you, and maybe put things, on pause sometimes, and or turn the volume down on certain other things, even if you think it's like super important. You know what I mean? You have to realize where it fits into the tapestry of your life, and what you were saying about, dude, there's a lot of people on social media like to put to sleep, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
But yeah.
I mean that's like a Freudian kind of thing I said. Um,
I definitely want to put to sleep some people on
yeah,
social
yeah, it's just the father of my thoughts. Um, yeah, like one thing that has really like also changed is like for a while. I mean, I get validated in school a lot because I get so much praise and like like for 4 years in a row now, like with when the 10th graders have their like last day of school and they have like kind of like what we have as a prom. So their final day and it's like a lot of like speeches on stage and then like the kids usually like to give out prizes, like the cell phone police. So the teacher that collects the most cell phones when they like find kids in school using cell phones, and the stickler of school and the funny guy, and then they always give a prize out like for the best teacher. And like for 4 years in a row, I got that prize. And they say so many nice things, like you're the only one that respects us really, and you take time out of your day to really sit down and talk to us, and you never have like you're never too busy to have like a nice word for someone. And that stuff means something to me. But for a lot of years I was like the only like role that I played that like gave me validation was Ralph of Ultha.
Yep.
And it was like, yeah, because I'm doing something cool that I determine cool, like being the guy in a band. And of course, I'm fucking proud of what we achieved with Ultha, and that, sorry, that a lot of people give me kudos for, I mean, the years of like stuff that I did. And I just booked that tour for us this year. I mean, we're in the new year. In April, I booked it by myself. It's just contacts that I have had since Hellstrom. It's like people that have known my work for so long. They're like, hey, if you need a show, I set it up. And we did it without a booker because like all the bookers that we worked with were kind of problematic. And I'm like, hell, I'm able in a year 2026 where a million bands are touring that I have this niche where people trust me and want to do like a show for my band. And I'm like, yeah, I'm proud of this. And when someone tells me, man, you saved my life with your lyrics and I have them tattooed, that's like fucking humbling. But I'm like, for a while, it was the only thing I validated. But right now, I'm on the hunt to find out, like, you have this role as Ralph of Ultha, Ralph as a teacher, Ralph as the best friend, Ralph as a partner, whatever. But who am I, like, in the middle? Who's really me? And that's what I'm trying to figure out now. And like this search has been really interesting and also helped me to gain focus and like self-validation that I'm like, yeah, like I actually matter. Because for a long time I thought like I don't matter. Like if I'm gone now, no one would give a rat's ass. But I know it's different and I know that's not the case. And so yeah, it's a process, like you said. It's just very hard and social media definitely doesn't help.
Yeah, dude, I kind of hate social media these days.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work with it, trying to like really curtail like some of my involvement on there. And that's why I was saying to some of the people that try to reach out on all these various platforms, if I don't return your message, it's not because I'm, an asshole. I have to like really curate how people get in touch with me, you know what I mean? And like with the Patreon people, yeah, it's like definitely it's a smaller group, and like we interact a lot more. Um, but a lot of times I won't even check messages and other things, like I'll check my email and you and I communicate mainly over Messenger. So like,
Yeah.
I look at Carl too, some of my close friends do that. But there's too many ways for people to send you messages
Oh
and like,
yeah.
and it's hard to stay on top of everything. So I can't, I have to like just okay, cool. If you want to get in touch with me, this is how you do it, and that's it. I can't like in Necromaniacs, you can call us and leave us a voicemail, which
Yeah.
is and I love those. Those are great, those are fun. But it's hard to stay in touch with people.
Yeah, and like this pressure of like, oh, I need to be on top and answer everybody all the time. That like made it super stressful
Yeah.
because I mean, school as a teacher, you're bound to get a lot of mails because all the
Hmm.
like parents are dumb and they want to have like asks you something. Then with Ultha, like there's a lot of interaction, and then there's a lot of people that I know. And that's why I said like I shut that down. And if I don't return your mail, like an answer to your mail within a few days, and then you're like, hey, why the fuck you're not answering? Then you have no idea. And so like I fizzled out of this and I got better with that. That it's just like, yeah. And if someone thinks I'm a douchebag for not returning your mail, like, like if you need something from me that is important and I deem it to be important for you, I will get back to you as soon as I can. But if it's just like, hey, what's up? It's like, yeah,
What's up?
uh, what's up? Um, yeah, then it's like maybe time to like wait a bit. And like if I have time, it's like bonus, like not much, you know? And it's like I refrain for example, like I scroll through Instagram like once a day for a few minutes, but I don't push the like button at all. Like I did it today because Danny posted something through the Titus page, or like when Andy did something about like, yeah, like this was my 2026 and everything. It's like, okay, this is important. These are important people, and I like, but like here, I took a picture of my pizza. It's like, yeah, good for you. And then I had people come up like, hey, I saw you're online. Like, why didn't you like my
Oh yeah,
picture? I'm
that
like,
that would drive me
really?
insane, man.
Dude,
Yeah.
like what is happening? It's like, and yeah, man, it's just like it is okay to step away from the ongoing like constant firing on all cylinders of like input. It's too much and it doesn't help. And that's why my favorite part of the last half year has been the parts where I was just sitting on a bench in a park and just listening to music and just staring to nothing. And
Yeah.
it's just like it's calm, it's quiet, taking a walk in the dark, like when we're done here, it's dark now. It just snowed and there's not a lot like going on this evening. I will just like go out, put on a jacket, won't put on music, go out for a walk for an hour, then cook my supper and watch something. Um, and that's like peaceful and like I come to treasure these things way more than I mean, I always knew that these are the things that I really like, but I thought I need to finish off that, work off that, and then maybe I'll find some time. And now, I mean, here I'm surrounded by, I don't know, 100 like folders of like school kids from music and philosophy that I need to grade
Hmm.
because the term papers are done, are due. But I'm like, yeah, well, no, I'm not doing that today. It's Saturday. And for a while, I would have worked all of that off and say, like, now I can focus, but then there's no time to focus on the outside world. And now it's just like, I'm talking to one of my best friends now, catching up because I haven't talked to him in ages. And then I will just go out and spend the evening by myself. And tomorrow I will go to my girlfriend, hang out with her and the kids, and be happy about that? And yeah, and like I rechanged my priorities, and I'm stronger in taking a hit when someone's like, "But I need to be the priority." It's like, yeah, no, you don't.
Yeah, that's the important part is like,
Yeah.
keeping that sort of that integrity, together when people try to test that.
Yeah.
So what's going on with Ultha, man? I mean, you guys, is there any activity going on with the band?
Yeah, we're working and finalizing the new album. It's going to be a long one, man. Think like we have all the songs done, and we need to hash out some details, and yeah, it will be out sometime this year, but yeah, not sure when. And but I would say it's on like it should be around 70 minutes of music, and so yeah, again, we'll be out without any announcement, without any teasing, without any pre-orders, without any cool studio like emotionally black and white photos from Manu taking a dump in the studio, like stuff people on social media crave to see. Um, but yeah, man, it's been yeah, it's been rough because I mean, like Andy left the band
Right.
and yeah, we tried to make it work for a year because he wasn't happy with playing keyboards anymore and so he wanted to play a third guitar and he said like yeah, he can compensate the lack of keyboards with a third guitar and I was like I don't see that happening. The keys and electronics are too essential to Ulfa. And but we're like close friends and we really wanted to make it work. So we wrote songs and tried it out. But we were not happy. He was not happy. And then he said like also he doesn't want to play live anymore that much. And so we're like, yeah, like I talked to him. It's like I have the feeling that you're actually just done with like playing this kind of music. And given he was never a big black metal fan, but like he was interested in what we did with Ultha, and I mean, he's been an integral part of like the evolution of this band and the sound of the band.
Well, I was going to touch on that. So the new material that you're working on, he was not part of that process?
He was
Oh,
part
he
of
was.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Like we wrote songs with him. Let me not lie. I think we had like 8 songs or 9 songs written with him. And it was like the compromise was like in some songs he switched from keys to a third guitar, but like the parts with the keys were always great, and whatever he did on the third guitar, we were like, sometimes it was cool, and for like more rock songs, it was okay to have 3 guitars.
Yeah.
But I also like for me, I was like, I cannot imagine seeing like a band with like 5 dudes on stage, and 4 of them swinging their dick around on a guitar. I'm like, with the keys, it's different, and also, I wasn't really happy with the way it went because my initial plan was when we spoke about this, like about the new album that was in fall of 2023. Yes. So it's been a while. I mean, All That Has Never Been True came out in 2022. End of 2023, we're talking about like, yeah, well, let's see about new stuff. And my idea was I wanted to like my planned evolution to the sound of Ultha was being more cineastic
Right.
and more. I wanted to have Tangerine Dream with blast beats. That was kind of like my broad idea. So I wanted to have like a synth too, more like what Aranzi Pazuzu is doing now, that they have
Yeah.
like all of them have like synthesizers on stage and they switch in between songs. And I saw myself doing it, that like Chris and Lars be like the string instruments and Lars bringing the heavy guitars. And I do like guitar stuff in some parts, but also switch to keys with Andy and Andy maybe adding like a lap steel and then
Oh,
Swan
wow.
style.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to expand the sound to make it more orchestral, more choirs in everything. And well, he kind of like he saw like the same vision that I had, where it's like more cineastic, but for him it was completely different. And you could really see like he's a big Sonic Youth fan, and Sonic Youth like play around with 3 guitars. And I was never a big Sonic Youth guy, but I have respect for them, what they do, but I didn't see that in the Ultha Cosmos. And yeah, so we're like, I don't know what to do here. Like, we don't know what to do. And that was the part where we said, like, yeah, maybe we should part ways.
Wow. So he was thinking more like this kind of three guitar, like Glenn Branca, like,
Yeah.
all the guitars are sort of playing different intervals and stuff like that.
Right. And with delay, less reverb, and more like, which could be interesting. And I was like, dude, like, then if you write something like this, we could try it out. But then he was like, yeah, I don't really know how to approach it. And it's like, yeah, I don't know either because I always write pop songs. So my vision of the new material and his were completely different. And we had arguments, and it was like in the band, I mean, like, like bands are like old marriages where you have
Yeah,
to
totally,
like
dude.
you have to work on your relationship. And Andy and I had like real fights, and it was harsh sometimes, but like we always like found a way to talk through it. And then it was just like, yeah, this doesn't work for us. Like doesn't work for you. You're not happy. We're not happy. And he was the bigger man, and he said, like, well, then I guess my time with Ultha is gone because I don't want to ruin this friendship we all
Yeah,
have. And
that's
we're like,
mature. That's a
yeah,
very
we're like,
mature way of looking at it for sure.
yeah. And it was like, after the breakup with Danny, that also was like very mature. I'm like, yeah, I'm happy that way. And we talked it through, and we're like, hey, we still want to record with you. And some of the songs that we wrote with you, we will do. We will rearrange some of them. But like, he will play some instrumentation on the new album, and he still has like an input on that album. I think the next one will be different because then he won't be part of the process anymore. But that new album will be, like a passing of the torch. And he's like, he's cool with it now, like we worked on demos, and he's like, hey, I could play this and we could record it like that. And we're like, yeah, that's cool. So the songs now, they have changed. I think it is not the way that we will fall on our ass like Paradise Lost did when they became an indie band, or when Alcest all of a sudden were like a shoegaze band,
Right.
where like, use your core audience because you're like in a midlife crisis of your band. I wanted to have it be still recognizable as Ultha, but I want it to be different. So there won't be all blast beats all the time. It will be very different, and I want it to be like a long journey. There's a story to be told again, so it will be a concept record again. And but like listening in my head, like listening through the album front to back, it will be like a journey in sound and watching a movie with a narrative without having a movie in front of you.
Well, I know that's always been a goal of yours with the band, and that seems like a very, very natural progression,
Yeah.
like over all the records, really. So I'm excited to hear that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, the lyrics are all done, the concept is done. We will have guest vocals and guest participation. There will be a 40 women choir singing on the album. There will be Peter and Annelies from the band Tuck that we're big friends with.
Nice.
There's this Cologne band called Davar that are like doom grunge band. They're really, really cool, and they have a cool singer, and she will sing on one song that is like a testament to a friend of ours that passed away from cancer. Um, yeah, and the new record, and that's the thing. Like, I think we will probably lose a bunch of our diehard black metal fans, and we will gain a few others because the new album will be about hope. It will be about the process of the last half year. I cannot rule this out of my system right now because I can only write about things that matter to me. And to me, the idea is like to have a journey from a person that is like completely in the shit to it ending in like a more uplifting note. I mean, it will still be a sad record in a way or melancholic, but it has to have this Ultha kind of like hope twist to it. Yeah, so I'm really, really curious how it will turn out. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Just man, things seem so bleak right now in the world, and
Yeah.
especially, in my country, man. It's in a shambles. Like earlier this morning, the United States bombed Venezuela. So
Yeah.
right now, man, I woke up to that this morning. So it's like, having something bright to look forward to or to hope for is like definitely integral to at least my
Yeah.
existence going into 2026.
That's so, man, that's so surreal. Like whenever I see this, I mean, here Germany is also not great. And th they had like a new chancellor elected, and he was like going in, like everybody was like, "Oh yeah, he will change it." His approval rate is down to 20% by
Yeah.
now, and he's not even half a year into his job, and everything is fucked and getting worse. But like then like seeing stuff from the States, I'm
Oh
like,
man,
this is so surreal. For me,
dude.
it's like watching like a bad sitcom is like this can't be real.
I mean, I don't think I think that's it for the United States as far as a world power goes. I mean, it's I don't think we're going to really if ever it's going to take decades to just bounce back from just the less than 1 year of this madman running the country. We have no credibility overseas anymore. We have no allies.
Yeah.
We just the worst part about this bombing of Venezuela is like, Congress to declare war, that has to go through Congress, right?
Mm.
So this whole buildup of aggression in Venezuela has to do with some false narrative about drugs coming out of
Yeah.
Venezuela. Now, Venezuela, like over the DEA posts, they publish data on countries and where the sources of drugs. Venezuela has never been on any of these reports. Okay. However, they sit on top of this massive oil supply,
Yeah.
right? So it's reminiscent of what happened in the Middle East post 9/11, but there was, at least then, there was some ruse of an actual reason to do these things. So the Trump administration did not declare war, but they're framing this whole thing as like a legal um action against Nicolas Maduro, who
Yeah.
is a dictator, which is not, he's not like a legitimate ruler of this country either, honestly, leader in this country. And the bombing was like for protection of people apprehending Maduro. That's the fucking story that they're going with.
Mm.
And like already I saw, once again on social media, because I when I found this out, I like went to look on, to see what the news is saying and stuff like that. And I looked on YouTube, news channels, things like that, and people are making comments like, fuck around and find out. I'm like, for what? Like, what the fuck did Venezuela ever do to us? You know what I mean? They didn't do anything to us. Everyone's like,
Uh,
well, they're sending fentanyl into. They're not. None of that
yeah.
stuff comes from that part of the country.
That
You know?
that's the biggest clusterfuck at where we are right
Oh, dude.
now. That like actual facts and truths are just being debunked because people want to say that's not true.
Right.
And they say like, yeah, there's alternative news sources that you need to. No, you don't. It has been like this. Yeah, of course, like we get fed some shit like through the general media. But like in general, it's a pretty good view on what is. And I hate this that people are just like putting on their blinders, like, no, I don't see that. I just see what I want to see. And that's like the narrative of Trump all the time, like talking this bullshit. And like these fact finders are like, that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's wrong. And then like the Speaker of the House is like, no, he never said that. It's like,
Oh, that guy's a complete fucking waste, that guy, Mike
oh,
Johnson. Yeah.
it is such like a nightmare, like come true. It's like this, like I always call it like the darkest Trump timeline right now,
Yeah.
because that's the thing that like society is doing right now. Like they justify their gruesome acts, like groping women and everything, because now you can do it. There was a case. There's a German like metal podcast that I have been on, and they they've always been like, like more traditional, like we're apolitical people.
Right.
But they had like me on, and they had Singy from Enstille and Nagelfar on, and we're
Hmm.
like punks, we're just like, no, we're left wing. And like the dude approached me about like, hey, would it be cool if we get someone from the NSBM scene to have like a discussion, you versus him? I'm like, no, dude, you don't give these people a platform.
Yeah.
And it's like they have platforms enough, but like if you like what's the purpose? What's supposed to be done here? That we like shake hands in the end? It's like, hey, it's cool that you like that you hate people because of their skin color. And then like for years they haven't touched that subject, and I stopped listening to that. And like recently they published an episode with like an NSBM fan from the right-wing scene, and they've been heavily criticized, and now they brace themselves to be like, yeah, we're the voice of the voiceless, you know? Like it's
Yeah,
like
right.
what the fuck is going on, man?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the thing. Finally, I can say what I think, you know? And it's like, yeah, fuck all of you.
Well, that's the whole party line that the right wing, the Republicans have in the United States too about free speech, where it's like, and that's how like all these like Rogan bros and all these like manosphere types and these like, you know, manosphere comedy dudes, they're like, oh, we love Trump because you can use slurs now. He made it okay to say racist and like homophobic and misogynist stuff. It's
Yeah.
cool. But if you criticize him, forget about it. You're going to get, thrown in jail, basically, or they're doing their damnedest to do that to people or cancel their careers or take them off the air.
Yeah, and then
You know?
because they always are like, oh yeah, we got canceled so much. Now it's our turn, and then it's like, but you're like, you always claim you want freedom of speech, so let them speak. No, that's not like because that's critical towards us, so you go to jail. It's like,
Well, yeah.
what?
The failure in logic happens with, all right, okay, can you and I am not in the I don't like cancel culture. I'm not supporting wokeness or cancel culture or whatever, but it's like no one ever tried to throw these guys in jail. You know what I mean? Unless you
Yeah,
broke the law. Like
yeah,
if you raped someone, you should go to jail, right?
yeah,
But like no one has ever thrown anyone in jail to date, well, before 2025 or tried to by something they said. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you can say off-color things, you can, do all sorts of stuff. People might not want to support you, right? Oh, that guy's a scumbag. I'm not going to buy his records anymore. Or this guy like raped his friend or whatever, so I'm not going to watch his TV show or go to his movies. But no one ever like threw him in jail. But
mm,
now in this country at least, and I know the UK doesn't have free speech. They don't have like a constitution that gives you free speech in places like the
mm,
UK, but in the United States they do. But now it's like, okay, well, you're speaking out against, you're now this whole thing about being um, anti-Christian, against the administration. They're trying to use that as a way to frame you up as a terrorist so they can throw you in jail. So that's how they're doing it, or they're
yeah.
trying to.
I mean,
The only thing I can say, at least in the United States, is like there has been this move with some of the more sensible members of the Republican Party that are in Congress that are going to be retiring early so that it shifts the majority left.
mm,
And once they lose the majority, they can get rid of Mike Johnson and put another guy in there, a Democrat. And that's when some things are actually going to change. But that's like, it's a slow process. By the time that happens, we could be blown up in a nuclear war started by Donald
yeah.
Trump. So
Hey, this morning I read something about like George Clooney and his wife. They left for France, so they're citizens of France now.
yeah.
But then Trump posted something about him, and then Clooney replied like, "Yeah, we need to make America great again, and we will start in November." What does that mean? Is that like
Oh, November
midterms?
2026 is the midterms,
Okay,
and
so
so
what?
that's like, I'm sorry, what were we gonna, sorry, what was
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
question?
What is that? Because I don't know what are the midterms?
So every 2 years, Congress has an election, and that's
Hmm.
when you get to vote on your local representatives in your state and
Hmm.
different districts and all that. So you might have heard the term gerrymandering, which
Hmm.
means that you would think that, okay, well, we're going to neatly cut up the states into these different sections, depending
Hmm.
on like, just geographically. But
Hmm.
that's not gerrymandering means like you figure out where your voters are and you make districts out of that as opposed to
Okay.
like using geography.
Hmm.
Like for example, it's like, okay, cool, like Staten Island is a district, Brooklyn's a district,
Hmm.
it's not as easy as that. They'll find where the Democrats are and they'll find where the Republicans are and they'll draw these weird curving maps to include them. All right.
Okay. Okay.
So also there's the way why this is important is that there's the electoral college, meaning
Hmm.
that states have like a certain number of electors based
Hmm.
on population, and that's what we're voting on. Who's going to
Hmm.
represent people in Congress and Senate and the House of Representatives. Okay, so that's when the majority switches. That's potentially. that's when there's a swing. Like you can
Hmm.
vote out certain people and vote in other people. And frankly, the trend, because there's been a lot of special elections recently because certain people have retired or like, there's a vacant seat or things like that. And it's pretty much all been going Democrat.
Hmm.
Even states that you don't expect to go blue as opposed to red are going blue,
Hmm.
and then there's certain dyed in the wool going down with the ship states like Iowa, which are narrowly Republican still.
Hmm.
So that's what 2026 is all about. If the elections are fair and free and fair, um, that's potentially when we could get rid of Donald Trump and his band of criminals that he has around him.
So it could end up like getting him out before the next election.
Once again, like if it's a free and fair election and it goes
Okay.
Democrat, you bet your ass they're gonna successfully impeach this guy.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But in order to impeach someone, you have to have both houses, the Senate
Hmm.
and the House of Representatives vote. Like someone draws up articles of impeachment, and it goes to each house separately, and then they both have to be in agreement. But
Hmm.
because the Republicans currently have the majority, that would never get passed unless a
Okay.
couple of them jump ship. But that's
Yeah.
probably not going to happen anytime soon.
Okay. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so
like,
that he's going to
yeah.
get. Hopefully, that's going to happen. We'll see. I mean, it'd be great. It'd be great if it happened beforehand when if some of these guys do retire,
Hmm.
and then if they retire early, that leaves a vacant seat, which potentially can be you can have a special election and a Democrat can take that, and then
Hmm.
the majority switches. Hopefully.
Okay. Man, it's still 11 months to go. There's a lot of
Dude,
stuff that this dude can fuck up.
3 years, man. Who the hell knows? It's like the reality of it is like, I mean, like constitutionally, he can't do a third term. I know there's been a lot of like, he's not even going to live 3 more years, to be honest,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
Like that dude looks like he's going to die, like drop dead in a matter of days.
Yeah. But I don't think like if JD Vance comes into power that it makes the thing even better.
Well, he lacks any charisma at
Yeah.
all. Like, they need a guy like him, even though
Yeah.
like I hate to use the term charisma and Trump, but like he appeals to a certain like mouth-breathing subset of our country
Mm.
and they love him.
Yeah.
And if you look at his approval rating, it's down to like I think 30%.
Mm.
There's I would say 28, 25, 28% of this country are just they're just part of the cult. He's
Hmm.
always going
Yeah.
to have like that base.
Mm.
So that's just how it is, man. It's such a just like a horrible condition here in the United States right now.
Yeah.
Every day it's like every day he's in the news, literally,
Mm.
and every day you hear about new atrocities being like meted out on immigrants. People
Yeah.
just literally getting rounded up like the Nazis did, like the Gestapo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's all from the fascist playbook.
Yeah.
I've just seen the movie Nuremberg. Have you
Oh yeah.
like and let me like go into like some of the details of that. And it's like, dude, it's I mean they have you seen the movie?
Yeah, like a long time ago I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. And like in the end they have like this nod. It's like, like this could never happen again. And then
Hmm.
they like make these references to, yeah, pretty much it's exactly what Trump is doing right now.
Well, not only Trump, I mean, like Viktor Orban,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like Vladimir Putin, like it's a tried and true, like in the Middle East, there's been a bunch of dictators that have used the same
Yeah.
othering, and
Yeah.
that's like this sort of social economic ploy. Their game
Mhm.
plan is to find an other and blame everything on. Like
Yeah.
even, in World War II with the Nazis, they scapegoated the Jews, and they
Mhm.
became like the other
Mhm.
person. Like they dehumanized them so that citizens can look at them as like less than human somehow. And in the United States, the other is anyone who's brown, basically any
Yeah.
non-white person that's like they're not referring to them as people. They're using the term illegals.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like, oh, there's a person who's undocumented anymore. That's not the term. They say illegals. So you're drawing a line and saying this person is different than you. He is an illegal, right? So we're going to get rid of them. Okay, we're going to throw them in a camp just like the Nazis did, you know,
Mm.
do some atrocities and then
Yeah,
deport them to some.
yeah,
And the places that they're housing them aren't even in the United States. They're in El Salvador,
yeah.
you
Yeah, I
know?
saw some of the reports about that of like people getting like because of their tattoos like adjusted to like hey, you're part of like this gang and that's why we're going to get like the whole ICE thing is so surreal. That's like the SS running wild and it's just like how the fuck is this possible?
Well, my theory is like all those guys that he pardoned for January 6th, like all these like Proud Boy types and one
Yeah.
percenters are all part of this the ICE organization, honestly, because they run around with masks on.
Yeah.
You don't really know who they are, and
Yeah.
it's like I don't know, that whole thing is just disgusting, really. And I went to a protest like in a No Kings rally.
Hmm.
I did an episode on it, and
Hmm.
it was in Newark, mostly people of color, I mean that
Yeah.
it's like a big, there's a very diverse population in Newark, right? So yeah, I stayed pretty much for all the lectures and everything. And the dude was like, one of the guys who was organizing it, he was like, just give you guys an FYI, ICE is around the corner,
Mm.
right? And he's like, I'm not referring to the Newark Police Department because there was cops everywhere, right? He's like, I'm not referring to the Newark Police. They were there just to make sure there was no riots or anything like that, but they're
Yeah.
literally were like, he's instructing people to like go in groups and not just go alone.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
That's the world I'm living in, man. You
Yeah,
know?
it's like it's getting the military to like go against its own people.
Yeah.
It's like there will be a civil war, man.
And that's the thing that really, really fucks with me because it's like, who the hell really wants that, to be honest?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to have Netflix and the internet and be able to go on, use their phones and mobile phones and, you know,
Grinder.
go get their dick sucked on Grinder and Tinder and all that stuff. But like, that's all over, man. If there's a civil war, it's like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
the fuck? That's the first thing you're going to do is cut the internet, cut communications. It's like, you're not going to be able to watch Netflix. You can't finish watching Stranger Things. You can't like hook up with some chick somewhere at a rest stop. You can't do things like that anymore.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But surely you can order ammunition from Amazon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
True.
Actually, can you do that? Really?
I don't know, but
Oh.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I recently like I had like I wanted to get a butterfly knife because like when I was younger, I had like a butterfly knife, and you can't get those, but you can get like the Guido version with like a comb in it. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
maybe I should get that one. It's like, but
Yeah.
like no, I don't think they sell weapons on Amazon. But like, I mean, I think it would take like a witty person like 3 or 4 clicks until they would order some ammunition. I mean, we had like the thing that like they try to ban fireworks, like these not only the rockets, but like we call them böller, like these looks like small dynamite bars. The kids like I don't know if you have that in States, but like like kids blow shit up with
Oh
that.
yeah.
It's like, and I mean like the discussion is like it's super unhealthy for the environment. It's horrible for the animals. And so like they have like districts now where you can't like light fireworks. The Netherlands are really restricted when it comes to that. But then, like, they busted a 16-year-old with 30,000 fireworks in his apartment. And he ordered them illegally from Poland, so they're all not registered and shit like this. Like that's the thing. Like, yeah, you can like impose like a law, like you can't have fireworks and they won't sell it here, but they will get it from somewhere.
Yeah.
And like the more you prohibit it, the more interesting it gets to these people. And like for like some years it got like less, but this year on New Year's, man, I cannot understand how these people can shoot off these rockets and blow up shit like this that's so loud that when we have so many people that fled from Ukraine because of the war, that fled like from Palestine like like because of the war, and we're just like doing it for fun, like
I know,
hey,
right?
let's
Yeah.
make it sound like what they had for like several weeks when they were like scared that their mother and their father get killed in a house, because of rockets. And let's just shoot the shit into the sky. Next day, everything is full of the crap on street. No one's taking care of it. It smells. It's Yeah, it's just atrocious, man. Like this
Yeah, it's
shit.
crazy how the when you have a different perspective on what that stuff looks like.
Yeah, and that's my thing, like the I think reason is completely deteriorated. Reason is not playing a role in decision making again. It's just like we're full on the scale of just emotion and like what is good for me it comes first, but there's no reason and no broader view to say like, okay, here are different sides. Let's make up my mind. It's just like, no, I want to blow shit up. I want to spend 1,000 euros, even though I don't have any money, and complain about like, yeah, the rich are getting rich, but I still spend 1,000 euros on fireworks to blow up in half an hour and be miserable all year again. It's like, it's so stupid.
Well, I mean, in some ways, it's like the same old like Roman bread and circuses,
Yeah,
but in this case, the bread and circuses is this propaganda, which also serves as entertainment for a lot of people.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can
and
you can pick your own adventure when it comes to politics, and that's it's like entertainment, man. You watch Fox News and it's entertaining. It makes it gives you that endorphin if you're a
yeah,
right-wing person, and
yeah.
you're being completely deceived, but you're also being entertained.
Always reminds me of that episode you did with the guy from Oxbow,
Oh,
David
Eugene.
Eugene, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Where he's like, yeah, man, it's like I've been to these places where the rich people, like the real rich people are, and they're laughing their ass off about like the stuff we like worry about, and they're like, yeah, for us it's cool. They're distracted. We'll make our money from it, and yeah, that's kind of like the case that there is. Like for us as like normal citizens, it's just like, yeah, we have these issues, and we get distracted, and a clown like Trump keeps us busy. And like some rich asshole is like, yep, good for me. I'm getting rich off this shit, and you're all fucked.
Well, that you hit on the real what's really behind the mask, honestly, is the kind of accelerationist technocrats.
Mm.
That's really what's driving this forward, man. And Trump is the clown. Like he's the
Yeah,
circus part of this thing, the bread and the circus. He's an entertaining
yeah.
clown doing all
Mm.
this atrocious stuff. But the people that benefit, because of the whole that whole technocracy concept of like having one unistate in like the whole Western hemisphere being one unistate being controlled by technocrats.
Yeah.
Like JD Vance is all and Peter Thiel and like all these guys are all um sort of disciples of like the Nick Land dark enlightenment accelerationist movement, which is like they're anti-democratic and they believe like the countries or the Western Hemisphere should be run by like a series of like fascist like city states that are run by like corporations. Like that's literally what the whole Project 2025 thing in this country is sort of formulated around.
Yeah.
And it's like that's really what's going on. That's why we invaded Venezuela. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not about like drugs or deporting brown people or, any of that stuff. That's really what's going on, in my opinion.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, it ties into like what some of my kids in school asked me is like, so what happens here? Like when the election took place and Elon Musk was like pushing for the AFD,
Yeah, the
you know,
AFD.
and and all that shit. And it's like then they're also like what's the purpose of this? Why is he doing this? It's like, yeah, if we all drop out of the EU. Which like all these right-wing assholes want. I mean, the Netherlands, Switzerland, like Italy, Austria, they all have like right-wing people in power. And it's just like, yeah, and once this all here crumbles and the EU is gone, you all have a big player just marching in because we have no allies anymore. We can defend ourselves, and they can just take us off the board and can just like suck us in, and then we're gone. And they're like, really? It's like, yeah, that's like the big play. It's never about like Elon Musk doesn't care about the AFD, but he knows like if the AFD, as like the opportunistic assholes they are, and they like the propaganda machine works and it divides this country is helpless. And if we don't have backing from the EU Germany's fucked. Like we all are fucked. And that's like the thing. It's everything is there. It's everything has been done before, but we're just too lazy to look at the books and the history.
Yeah, that's the worst part about people not reading and just looking at videos all day. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you got to like understand the past,
Yeah.
to understand the present and look forward to the future, and it's just like, the funny that I find hysterical about these Peter Thiel, Elon Musk nerds is all the science fiction, like book, like sort of these ideas all come from science fiction,
Mm.
but they're taking what is portrayed in sci-fi as dystopian, but they're like looking at that as like a positive thing, and they want to create these like societies that are sort of the irony is that these science fiction novels were like railing against, they're actually embracing that as the way that we should be conducting ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really, it's fucked up. People getting
Yeah.
the wrong idea about everything. Well, dude, I am going to try to look forward to a bright spot in 2026. I know we ended kind of heavy with this,
Ah, don't we always?
but we were doing so good, man. And then at the end, it's just like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, but we're not going out of this depressed, like I'm taking a walk through the snow. You're going up to your wife and having a great Saturday,
yeah,
hopefully.
this is true. Yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, I'm going to continue reading comic books and
hell yeah.
it will all be fine in the end. I hope so.
Oh, we will.
Yeah, I
Thanks for
will
listening,
definitely.
everyone.
Yeah.